James, welcome to Interest.co. So, James, just tell us a little bit about Gentrack, because you've operated under a number of different guises over the year. Just tell us a little bit about the evolution as to where you are as a business right now.
Okay, well, Gentrack, we've been around under a number of names for probably more than 25 years. Initially, for those with long memories, we broke off from what was AWA, an Australian company, and one of my predecessors was involved with taking that over and bringing in some investment companies to help with that. From there, we developed as a IT company focused on application software. We developed a number of software products over the years, and some of those we've sold off, things like library software and hotel software we've sold off. Gentrack was developed as our product for the utility space for electricity, water and gas companies.
So most people wouldn't be aware of it, but every time they get a power bill, you've been a key influencer in that process.
Yeah, no, that's right. We've been in providing the power bills for in New Zealand for good 15 years, and as I say, most of the big retailers use our system. As well as most of the network companies which provide the information to the retailers.
Just give us a sense of that, the complexity of that, because obviously the power comes from the generator and then it's being used by the consumer, and there's a whole intermediary process that has to go on to sort of capture all of that data. So you've managed all the software around that.
Yeah, it is a hugely complex process, and unless you're right in the heart of it, it's hard to gauge how complex it is. You've got obviously meters at every household around New Zealand. Some of them are the new smart meters that measure your consumption every half hour. Some of them are your old style Ferraris disc meter, which just delivers a monthly reading. All of those have to go through the system. They have to have tariffs that are based on the network company in that region that have to be attached to it. The retailer has to attach their particular tariffs to it and apply that to your bill and calculate the bill. On top of all that, there's information flows that go through a central hub to show where the energy is being consumed and how much from each grid exit point. And you also have to account for people that are switching between retailers. So it's a very complex information flow. It takes a lot of time to get good at it.
You've focused on the utilities sector. Tell us a little bit more about that particular sector and where the opportunities lie for you.
Yep. I think we were greatly helped by the New Zealand's early adoption of the deregulation of the energy sector. There were two companies that did well out of that. There was us, and you may remember Peace Computers. They also developed systems which they took to the US and did very well in the US. They've sort of gone now, passed on, but we did well out of that. We were able to take that model to Australia and win a number of energy companies in Australia. And while we were there, they were also starting to commercialise the water sector in Australia. So what they wanted to do was take the water billing away from the councils and apply them under a commercial model, because in Australia, with the drought situation and all that sort of thing, water was getting more complex, more expensive, and they needed to apply a commercial model to it. And we were successful early on with winning some of those that were coming across to that area. And in the last 4 years, I think we've won every water company that's come out. And the expertise, while it's a different tariff arrangement and measuring system for water, the knowledge that went into that really came from the energy sector here in New Zealand. We were able to provide a competitive model that suited the Australian water industry. One of the areas, just to give you a bit of a brief insight into that, was when you go back to the start of Gentrack, we came in at the end of the old billing era where everybody was treated as an account. So you had your billing account. If you didn't pay your account, they turned your power off. The modern commercial energy sector and water sector treats people as customers. And what they want to do is know the whole relationship with you as a customer. So they look at you, they might look at your house, they might look at your business, they might look at your your holiday house. Bring all that together to have a single view of you as a customer and your value to that energy or water retailer. So if you don't pay your house bill, they may not switch you off because you're a very valuable commercial customer to them. So they'll ring you up and make sure there's nothing wrong. So we were lucky with Gentrack that we came in that commercial aspect and built a product for that well ahead of anything that was around at the time around the world.
So this is, as you say, much more about establishing customer relationships and getting benefits out of that from both sides. And of course the other dimension, I guess, to all of this is the energy efficiency drive that's going on as well too.
Yeah. No, the energy efficiency has been a big thing, and we've got a number of projects and products around the world that are dealing with some of that. Some of the examples are in Australia and the UK. They've got heavily involved into subsidising solar energy on people's roofs and things like that. And what you have with that is a feed-in tariff for any energy that you're not actually consuming yourself. So our billing systems have to handle that feed-in tariff and make sure that the customer's being properly remunerated for the extra energy and handling all of the government subsidies and things that flow through. So that's one area. There are plenty of others that are sort of coming through.
So just explain how the customers actually pay for this software. I'm assuming it's probably licensed to them.
Yeah, no, we license the utility companies to use the software, so we still own the software and they pay an annual license fee for using it. As far as the sales model goes, it's a very long sales cycle and a very deep sales cycle. One of the things we push here is that we're actually a utility company that happens to deal in software. We don't see ourselves as a software vendor, and we encourage all our people, our salespeople, to get right involved with the utility industry. Not just the billing component, but why Genesis Energy is interested in the great big coal pile that they got building out the back, so that we can really understand where they're coming from when we deal with them. And so as I say, our sales guys are out there very early in the piece. It might take them sort of 3 or 4 years before they close a deal. That's the nature of the game. Obviously
innovation is important in this space. How do you deal with the innovation process and particularly the demands of your customers as they progress their own businesses?
Yep. We invest pretty highly in R&D. We got quite a big R&D team out the back, and look, the New Zealand government's been quite supportive of that with grants over the years to help companies grow in that space. Look, we see our biggest competitors now as some of the biggest companies in the world, SAP and Oracle, and obviously they have a huge R&D team compared to what we have. So we have to be very focused in our R&D. We see ourselves as specialists rather than generalists like SAP and Oracle, and so we get in there very deeply with our customers and understand where they want to be going, and we trial products and bring them to the table to see if that's what they want. And our customers are very supportive of that. We find that initially they were being very competitive, they were quite closed about it, but now they see that Gentrack is really a tool that helps them do better business. So they work together pretty well with us to define where they want the product to go in the future.
So you've cornered the New Zealand market, you've done pretty well in Australia, and now the new focus for Gentrack is the UK. So tell us about how you see that progressing.
Yeah, no, as you say, we've got a very strong position in New Zealand. We're fairly dominant in both the retail and the network side. In Australia, we're still growing rapidly. We actually now make more revenue in Australia than we do in New Zealand. And the potential to double in size in Australia over the next few years is huge. So we've just opened a new office in Brisbane to balance our office in Melbourne. What we're looking for now is the next step in our growth, which is the sort of 5-10 year plan, and we see that being in the UK. We have been in the US before, and we know what you have to do to succeed in the US, but we think our product and the nature of our business has a greater affinity with the UK. So we've recently opened a Manchester office. We've now got about 5 sites in the UK, including the fastest growing energy site, which is OVO Energy. They've done very well. They've grown to over 100,000 consumers in less than 3 years. And we've got several water companies chasing us because at the end of the day, the water companies in the UK need to commercialise, and they don't want to pay the sort of fees that Oracle and SAP are paying, and we're the next best solution in the system. So it's looking good up there.
So the business is almost coming faster than you can handle it at the moment.
Yeah, no, it is. Look, it is. We feel we've got a good product. We've got a good price point because we are below the SAP Oracle price point. So we're winning a lot of business, and we have to carefully manage our growth because at the end of the day we need to have a lot of software programmers supporting our system as we grow. So as part of that, we have turned away businesses that have chased us out of the Middle East and out of China because we feel that they're too far away from our core focus. So we're going to focus on growing the business in the UK as the next step, probably the US after that.
So you have the luxury of actually deciding who you want to do business with. Yeah,
to a certain degree. We are remaining very focused, and we are remaining very focused on our particular sector, which is the utility and airport sectors.
Just thinking about growth and some of the challenges that go with a company that's growing as quickly as you are, what are some of those challenges that present themselves to you?
I guess the biggest challenge for us is a people challenge. Like a lot of the software companies, and Auckland in particular has a number of quite innovative software companies that are doing well around the world. We rely on good people coming out of our universities in the software area, and finding those people is not easy. IT degrees are not as in vogue as they used to be. You get too many good, smart graduates coming out in law and finance rather than IT. So just finding people who are prepared to do the hard yards of travel that you need in this business. So to try and accommodate that's one of the reasons we've grown our Melbourne office and also our Brisbane office, just to have more pools of people that we can find to feed the business as it grows.
But the other advantage you have, of course, is that you can offer a global career track to graduates as well too, which is not something many companies are able to do in New Zealand.
Yeah, no, it is, and that's been tremendously popular. We've had arrangements where we've moved people to other offices. So we've got New Zealanders working in Melbourne, Brisbane, and in Manchester, and in London, and we've also had shorter-term secondments of 1 to 3 months where people go and work in an office for that period, get the experience and come back. One of the keys we've learnt with our business in particular is communication is a big thing, and face-to-face communication is really important. You can have all the video conferencing you want, but you need people to talk to people, and so we encourage travel a lot. We have a lot of people flying between our centres just to keep that communication working.
And in terms of your growth aspirations in the future, where could a business like Gentrack be in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, I mean, our aim, our big goal over the long term is to be a recognised leading supplier of software to the utility industry worldwide. Really now we see SAP and Oracle as being our main competitors. There are a number of niche players in various countries around the world, but we want to grow our business. Obviously we will never be that size, but we want to grow our business to be a position where when a utility company somewhere in the world looks for a system, we're on the board and have a good chance of winning it. And I think I certainly see that we will be doubling in size in the next 5 years, that sort of level.
New Zealand, of course, is growing some expertise around innovation and technology. Is that something that could be progressed into a number of other areas, particularly in competencies like software?
I certainly think what we find, and when you talk to other software companies, they find the same thing. A big advantage you have with New Zealand graduates is they come out hungry, they come out looking for work. They don't have perhaps the big IT opportunities here you have in other parts of the world. You don't have your Googles lapping up people, and you don't have your Australian resource sector or banks grabbing all the technologies people. So they are available here, and they're keen to travel, which you don't see with people from other parts of the world. So they're a great resource base to deliver this around the world. the feedback we've had from other centres is our software is right up there. The water companies in the UK can't believe how far ahead we are of the local UK systems, for example. So I think we got the people and we've got the innovation to deliver the right products. It's a numbers game. The universities are struggling to deliver enough IT people to meet the demand. I think that's the big challenge, and I think it's something that the Ministry of Education needs to look at right down to the schooling level, is encouraging people into these sort of technical trades.